Let me tell you a story, not one of dragons or distant kingdoms, but of a man who lived in a world where truth no longer existed. It begins on a cold April day, in a future that somehow feels far too close. The clocks strike 13. In the crumbling city of London, part of a superstate called Oceania, a man named Winston Smith quietly climbs the stairs to his flat, his knees aching, the smell of boiled cabbage in the air. On every landing, a giant poster stares down at him. Big Brother is watching you. A face expressionless but all-seeing, printed on every wall, every coin, every screen. Winston works for the Ministry of Truth. But don't be fooled by the name. His job is to rewrite the past. If the party says they were always at war with East Asia, even if they were at peace yesterday, then that becomes the truth. Books are edited, newspapers reprinted, records destroyed. History changes daily. The party says 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, and it must be believed. But inside Winston, a quiet rebellion is brewing that he knows he's alone. There's no escape in Oceania. Telescreens watch every move. Microphones pick up every whisper, and even your face can betray you. A wrong look, a flicker of doubt, can mean vaporization. That's when people simply disappear. No trial, no explanation, just gone, as if they never existed. And still, Winston dares to hope that he starts a secret diary, an unthinkable crime. He writes the words, "Down with Big Brother." It's a death sentence, really. But in those stolen words, something begins to live in him. Rage, memory, longing, and then there's her, Julia. She's young, bold, dark-haired, and to Winston, she once seemed dangerous. But one day, she slips him a note in a hallway, almost casually. It reads, "I love you." Just like that, everything changes. They meet in secret. First in a wooded glade where the trees block the cameras, then in a hidden room above an antique shop in the slums, where the past seems to linger. There they fall in love. Not the kind of love the party allows. No marriage contracts or baby-making for duty's sake, but real, messy, passionate love. They laugh. They curse the party. They become human again. Winston begins to dream of rebellion, not just for himself, but for everyone. He believes in the Brotherhood, a secret group said to be led by the traitor Emmanuel Goldstein. He thinks maybe, just maybe, he and Julia can join the resistance and fight back. And then, a miracle, or so he thinks, that O'Brien, a powerful member of the inner party, approaches him. He seems to know. He speaks in code. He invites Winston to his apartment, a place with no telescreens, where wine is poured and old books are discussed. O'Brien gives Winston a forbidden book that explains everything. The party strategies, how it keeps the people blind and obedient, how it needs war and lies to survive. For a moment, Winston feels like he's part of something real, but it was never real. One night, the thought police burst into their hidden room. Julia screams. The antique shop owner turns out to be an informant. And O'Brien? He wasn't a rebel. He was the trap. Winston is taken to the Ministry of Love, a place of white corridors and silent horrors. There, O'Brien begins the real work. Not to kill Winston, but to break him. The torture is relentless. Bones crack. Time disappears. Words lose meaning. O'Brien shows Winston that power is not about persuasion. It's about making people believe. It's not enough to obey Big Brother. You must love him. But Winston holds on. He tells himself he will never betray Julia, that his mind is still his own. Then they take him to room 101. That room 101 is different for everyone. It holds your deepest fear. For Winston, it's rats. And when they bring the rats close, when the cage is about to be fastened to his face, he breaks. He screams, "Do it to Julia, not me." That's all the party needed. Sometime later, Winston is released. He sits in a cafe, drinking bitter gin, watching the telescreen. He's thin, pale, hollow. He sees Julia once on the street, and they talk like strangers. Whatever they had, it's gone. And then, as he watches a news report about a great victory in the war, a war that may not even be real, he smiles. Not a forced smile, a genuine one, because at last, he has learned to love Big Brother. Like and follow for more.